So from your perspective, the Gen Z perspective, as a very intelligent, highly motivated, you are a dancer, you are a computer expert, IT expert, you are highly intelligent and motivated, coming from a wonderful, caring middle-class family, but you are Gen Z, and you are saying that this system is broken and that we can't go back and change it, and that any voting or any election that we have is just going to change faces, but it's not going to change the system. So why aren't you depressed?
Well, I mean, why am I not depressed about the world?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question. Um, well, because I mean, the truth of the matter is I'm in a position in life that I don't really have to worry about it. Because my family makes good money, I don't necessarily need to worry about things like poverty and things like that. And so they're not exactly, it doesn't affect me directly. I probably would be more affected by the truth of these things if I was in a position that they actually affected me truly. Um, but it's things like, I think like you said about my generation, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the world changes as my generation starts to and my parents' generation starts to um starts to age into the time when they become the president, right? Like the first Gen Z president, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens because there's absolutely the chance that nothing's going to change. Different face, different generation, same problems. But at the same time, the people like the president is the issue because like the president changes, but everyone around the president doesn't change. You know what I mean? Like the Supreme Court doesn't change every 4 years. The judicial branch doesn't change every 4 years. The executive branch might, but the other branches don't. And there's lots of people with power. The military generals don't change every 4 years. And so there's so many things. If we rotated the entire government every 4 years, we might see a little bit more change. But that also would be a organizational nightmare, a security nightmare, and it just wouldn't work. And so it's going to be interesting to see. And I think part of the issue is that we keep electing old people. You know what I mean? We keep electing these people that that are stuck in the past. We're electing these people that can't see. I mean, look at here's a perfect example. When the CEO of TikTok went on trial and they had the entire hearing about data security, most of the people asking the questions didn't know how Wi-Fi worked. They didn't know the basics of how Wi-Fi worked. And yeah, I understand. I'm a teenager complaining about a bunch of old people that don't know how to use technology. But of those old people that don't know how to use technology are the people in charge of a society built on that technology. And so you know what I mean? Nobody's writing checks anymore. We're not using dial-up internet anymore, right? And it's very like we have to as the world changes, the people in charge of the world has to as well. You can't have a world that moves into the 21st century and has all these things like we were talking about AI earlier, that has computers that can learn just like humans and all these things. And then also the people in charge of that world, grew up with like ham radios and VHS tapes. You have to have people that know it comes down to you have to have someone who knows what they're doing in charge. You can't have someone who doesn't know what they're doing in charge. And I think we have a scenario where we have people that don't know what they're doing, don't know how to manage the society that we currently have in charge.
One sec. The people in charge knew how to manage society for the past 100 years. Only in the past 20 years did we have internet, Wi-Fi, TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter, social media, all that stuff. And with all due respect to the social media movement, I'm not so sure it's doing so well.
No, it's not. It's horrible for psychology.
We have cyberbullying, people committing suicide because of online bullying. We have people who are isolated, not talking to each other, texting to each other. I do marriage counseling with people who are texting to each other. And right. they say, why are you yelling at me? And I said, well, how is she yelling? She is texting you. She says, because everything is in capital letters. Oh, I said, that's yelling. I get it. There's a protocol that doesn't make things better. Just because you know technology and the Gen Z and millennials know how to use technology doesn't mean they know how to show compassion, how to run the welfare system, how to run the unemployment system, how to run the military, how to run, so you can know technology, but you got to know how to deal with the systems in place.
Well, that's my point, is that the world is changing, but the government isn't. Like you're speaking about the welfare system and the unemployment system, none of that stuff has changed. And it's not just social media. It's social media isn't necessarily like whatever. If the president knows how to tweet, that's not my concern. My concern is, does the president understand what digital banking is? Because 99%, I think it's like 97% of the money used day to day is digital. It doesn't really exist. You can't hold it in your hand. You can't find it. It's not a thing you can go find. It exists on the internet, on a computer, and it gets traded between banks. Digital money is just banks basically looking at each other and going, yeah, I have that money. I have that money. It's here. You can't see it or find it, but it's here.
Yeah, but I know that it could very well be that the president doesn't know the ins and outs of the digital banking system and derivatives and bank failures, etc., that they just had in California.
But that's just one example.
But he does have chairman of the Treasury, and he does have people working for him, and he does have 20-year-olds working for him who do know that system. So you have a mixture of the people who know how to balance the trade deficit and how to make sure that China doesn't bring down the fall of the dollar so that we destabilize the world economy. We have to have those kind of people who have that kind of experience. And we have to have your kind of people, the millennial and Gen Z people who know how to use technology. Perhaps we have to put things together.